Hey, welcome back to Play and Trade Guitars. I'm John, that's Zach behind the camera, and this is Play and Trade Guitars, where we play it and trade it. I'm going to be covering Epiphone today, and this may come as a surprise to you, but there are actually plenty of models to choose from that, believe it or not, are over $1,000. That's right, if you haven't been paying attention to the guitar market lately, Epiphone is building a lot of guitars now over $1,000. I'll tell you the reasoning behind that strategy, what is offered, and what my favorite guitars are in this price category. At the top, if you're in the market for an Epiphone or any other gear, click to buy new gear using our link. You'll get fast free shipping and easy payment plans, and we're giving away a Gibson Les Paul Standard. You heard that right, when we hit 100,000 subscribers. To win that guitar, hit subscribe now, turn on notifications, and sign up via Gleam. All that is down in the comments or in the description. The first thing to understand about Epiphones in this price range is how it dovetails with Gibson's overall strategy. The cheapest Gibson that is offered from Gibson USA currently is the Les Paul Modern Lite at a price of $14.99. They have discontinued models, which used to be entry-level models like the Tribute Les Paul, Tribute SG, and a couple others. And what that makes me realize is that the strategy overall here is that if you're looking for a Les Paul or an SG under $1,500, Gibson USA isn't making it anymore. You're going to be looking at the collection from Epiphone, particularly their new Inspired by Gibson Custom line. And most of the guitars that are over $1,000 are from the Epiphone Inspired by Gibson Custom line. And the sweet spot, the price point where it all starts, is $12.99. As you shop the Inspired by Gibson Custom lineup, you're going to notice a few exciting things. First of all, you're going to see real Gibson headstocks. That's right, the true Gibson open book mustache headstock on an Epiphone. You're also going to see things like Gibson pickups, including custom buckers and high quality Gibson pickup sets in the Epiphone guitars. You also see upgraded electronics and really nice hard shell cases. They're trying to give you a great value under $1,500 from Epiphone in the Inspired by Gibson Custom lineup. Let's talk about a few things you won't see. In terms of the fretboard material, they are using almost exclusively Indian Laurel. There are a few that use ebony, which is great. But where you would think that you might get a rosewood fretboard, I'm hoping that they'll change this in the future. But currently in this whole collection, it's going to be a Laurel fretboard or an ebony fretboard, depending on the model. The other thing you won't see is nitro finishes. These will all be finished in poly. And another thing to understand is that these, of course, are all made overseas. And believe it or not, some of the most expensive Epiphones are actually made in America again. I'll tell you those at the end, and stick with me at the end because I'll also give you my favorites from this whole rundown. So I'm going to give you a rundown of all the Epiphones over $1,000 from lowest to high and give you my thoughts as we go. So let's get started. All right, remember I told you that $12.99 is kind of the magic price. It's where all the magic starts with the Inspired by Gibson Custom lineup. There are a handful of models between $1,000 and $12.99. Amongst these kind of assorted odds and ends guitars, there are two standouts. One is the artist collaboration with Dave Mustaine. You can find the Flying V Custom at $10.99 or the Prophecy Flying V at $11.99. Between those two, I actually prefer the Flying V Custom in black. Beautiful guitar and sounds awesome, done in collaboration with Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. The other one is actually an exclusive that you can only find using our link. This is the Shinichi Ubukata ES335. And it's packed full of value, including Gibson USA pickups. It's 57 classic humbuckers, and it's got a Bigsby on the guitar as well. So if you want something different and loaded with value, check out that 335 exclusive at $11.99. You can find that in our link. All right, but let's move on to the real banner collection here, the Inspired by Gibson Custom lineup, which starts at $12.99. You'll find the 1958 Carina Flying V and Explorer. Amazing Carina Flying V and Explorer. We have full demos on all these guitars. We've covered all these, so you can check all those out on the channel, of course. I was really impressed with these. I'll save my favorites to the end, but I'll tell you right out of the gate here, I'll give you one little hint. Between these two, the Explorer stole the show, so I really dug that Carina Explorer. Continuing at $12.99, we have the Adam Jones Les Paul Custom Art Collection. At $12.99, you're still going to have the Epiphone headstock, but you will have souped up electronics, including humbuckers, and you'll have the limited edition art on the back of the guitar. These are still available, depending on which art you want on the back, but they're a few $100s cheaper than the counterpart, which I'll get to further down the list in the Adam Jones collection. You also have, if you're a Rush fan, the Alex Lifeson Les Paul Custom Access guitar with a Floyd Rose. Where else are you going to find a Floyd Rose on a Les Paul at $12.99? Pretty cool guitar and definitely something unique. And a person who kind of deserves his own category because it's not necessarily part of the Inspired by Gibson Custom line, but it's part of his own collection, is Joe Bonamassa. And at $12.99, you can get the 1962 ES335. That's the Joe Bonamassa ES335. Beautiful red color, fantastic playing and sounding guitar with a Maestro vibrola. You'll notice a trend, you find a lot of artist names in here. You have, for example, the Kirk Hammett 1979 Flying V with T-type pickups. Great Flying V. This will again have a Laurel fretboard, but it comes with a hard shell case with some art on it, and one of the many collaborations with Kirk Hammett now between Epiphone and Gibson. One that we were really excited about, I know you were too, was the Dave Grohl DG335. Awesome guitar with those Trini Lopez cutouts, and just an incredible playing and sounding guitar. There's the 1963 Firebird 1. The more expensive counterpart is the Firebird 5, which we'll get to down the list. And now here comes three guitars that really knocked me out, starting with the 1959 Les Paul Standard. This guitar has it all. Comes with a hard shell case, comes with custom bucker pickups. That's like a $500 set of Gibson pickups. Custom buckers in there, beautiful Les Paul Standard inspired by the vintage 1959 Les Paul Standard. Great neck profile, you can watch our full demo on that. And it's paired with two others that I really love. That's the Les Paul Custom with Gibson headstock, beautiful ebony fretboard, mother of pearl inlays. There is another Epiphone bestseller, which is the Les Paul Custom at $799. That's a great guitar too in its own right, but that's gonna have the Epiphone headstock and it's gonna have Epiphone pickups. At $1299, you're gonna get the Les Paul Custom done in collaboration with the Gibson Custom shop, sporting the true mustache Gibson headstock and those upgraded Gibson USA electronics. This is correct for the Les Paul Custom. You'll actually have $490 and $498 in this guitar. And then if you're shopping for a 335, I'll tell you right now, this will rival that. This is the 1959 ES355. And this is just beautifully appointed with the cosmetics, the Gibson headstock, and again, the custom buckers on this. Huge value at this price. We're wrapping up the $1299 price level with two more guitars as part of the 150th anniversary collection. Epiphone did these a couple years back and you can still find them. There's two that are standouts that are really cool. And that is the Epiphone Zephyr Deluxe Regent sporting the New York Epiphone Mini humbuckers. It's a big body jazz box hollow body archtop guitar. Beautiful, going all the way back to the glory days of Epiphone in their beginning. Incredible sounding and really something very unique to add to the collection. And of course, you've got to have a Sheridan in there, and that's a 150th anniversary Sheridan with Gibson USA mini humbuckers, hard shell case, the works. It's got a Maestro vibrola as well. Great playing, great sounding guitar. All right, now we're stepping up in price to $1499, kicking it off with one of my favorites, the Kirk Hammett Greenie Les Paul Standard. That's the 1959 Les Paul Standard that was made extremely famous by Peter Green of Fleetwood Mac. That's why it's called the Greenie. It's now owned by Kirk Hammett. It is not a cheap guitar. He bought it and added it to his personal collection. He worked with Gibson to make a faithful recreation, first with Gibson, but now with Epiphone, and that was really exciting when that news came out. And I'll tell you what, it's a higher price tag at $1499. It ended up being one of my favorites, the Kirk Hammett Greenie 1959 Les Paul Standard. All right, we talked about the art collection from Adam Jones, and that's at $1299. There still are some of those guitars available at $1299. But what they did with the Inspired by Gibson Custom line is they introduced the non-art version, and this is the Adam Jones 1979 Les Paul Custom. It comes in silver burst. There's no art on this edition, but importantly, it has the Gibson headstock. So I think this one is just really true to form. Adam Jones is a super inspiring guitarist, and this is a really well done creation. It's spot on. It's the closest that I've seen in terms of a reproduction outside of the Gibson Custom shop, so they really nailed it in this edition. All right, another guitar that's really cool, 1963 Les Paul SG. That's right, the SG when it first came out was actually a redesign of the Les Paul. It was called the Les Paul. But this sports three custom bucker pickups. Talk about value here with the hard shell case, a beautiful white, incredible looking guitar. If you want a guitar with three humbuckers, it's hard to go wrong with three custom buckers. Huge value out of this guitar. All right, great to see Jimi Hendrix on this list, and that's the Jimi Hendrix Love Drops Flying V at $1499. Done with his hand-painted recreation of the artwork on his guitar, and I'm really glad to see Jimmy's name on the list here. And that rounds out the guitars at $1499. We also have one more guitar, believe it or not, $1699, and I can endorse it because it was that good. And that is the Epiphone 1963 Firebird 5 with two Firebird mini humbuckers. Awesome guitar, awesome playing and sounding, and it is more expensive than the Firebird 1, but you're getting it souped up with the two pickups, more tonal options, more possibilities. Really beautiful guitar. And I will tell you, if you don't want to spend that kind of money on a Firebird, Epiphone still makes their $600 something Firebird, which is an awesome guitar, and Sunburst, that one is a great option too. But we're talking over $1,000, so we're covering the why and what behind what Epiphone is making at all these price levels. All right, you stuck with me to the end, so I'm going to give you my favorites, but there's one more quick category to run down, and that is acoustic guitars and a few other surprise instruments that are here in the over $1,000 list. You have the Masterbuilt Excellente, which is the Loretta Lynn acoustic at $1299. If banjo is your thing, the Earl Scruggs Golden Deluxe at $1299. J45 is one of my all-time favorite acoustics. You have the 1942 Banner J45, also at $1299. You have the bigger bodied J180. A little love for the mandolin players here. You have an F5G mandolin at $1499. What a beauty. You have the 1957 Southern Jumbo 200, the SJ200. And I mentioned to you that they are making Epiphones in America again. These are going to be high-priced models, but here they are. There's 4 of them. With acoustics, there's the Frontier at $44.99. Yes, you heard that right. And then there's the Chris Stapleton Frontier at $49.99. That is the highest priced Epiphone there is. There are 2 electric guitars in the USA Epiphone collection. The Coronet at $16.99 and the USA Casino hollow body guitar. Talk about Beatles vibes, John Lennon. That one is going to be at $34.99, made in the Gibson USA plant. All right, that's all the models over $1,000 from Epiphone in all the categories. Before I tell you my favorites, if you're in the market for any of these, click to buy them using our link. It's how we make these demos, and you're going to get great perks like fast free shipping, easy payment plans. If you're in Europe, you can check our Toman link. And another thing, don't forget, we are giving away that Gibson Les Paul when we hit 100,000 subscribers. We're growing quick, thanks to all of you. To win that guitar, hit subscribe now if you haven't, and make sure you sign up via Gleam. There's tons of ways to earn bonus entries. All right, here's my favorite Epiphones in these collections over $1,000. If you're playing heavy and want a Flying V, I would recommend the Dave Mustaine Flying V Custom. For an exclusive you can't get anywhere else, check out the Shinichi Ubukata ES335. In the Carina collection, I've got to hand it to the Carina Explorer. That's the 1958 Carina Explorer. Awesome guitar. If a 335 is your thing, a semi-hollow guitar, go for the Joe Bonamassa ES335. That's the 1962 ES335. Big shout out to the Dave Grohl DG335. We were really impressed with that guitar. Sounded great, played great. All right, now here's what I'll consider my top 5 in no particular order. They nailed it with that 1959 Les Paul Standard. You can also check out the Les Paul Custom in the Inspired by Gibson Custom line. Those 2 are just absolute knockouts. I'll add one now in my top 5 that actually totally surprised me. When I saw the price, I balked at first, but the Kirk Hammett Greenie, that's right, the 1959 Les Paul Standard Greenie, knocked me out with how good it sounded and how good it played. If Adam Jones is your thing, I recommend the higher priced non-art version with the Gibson headstock. That's the 1979 Les Paul Custom in Silver Burst. And believe it or not, the most expensive regular production run here did make my top 5, and that is that 1963 Firebird 5, because I love a good Firebird, and they really did nail it. Gibson USA, believe it or not, is not making a Firebird currently, so if you want one, you got to get the Epiphone version, and they made a really great Firebird 5 here. All right, what did you think of the guitars over $1,000? Like I said, they're making it so that if you want to get a model under $1,500 from Gibson, you got to buy it from Epiphone nowadays. Let me know your reactions in the comments. Which Epiphone will you buy next? For Play & Trade Guitars, I'm John. That's Zach behind the camera. See you next time. Subscribe to win our Les Paul giveaway, and when you're buying gear, use our link. Watch reviews on all these models across Play & Trade Guitars. Thanks for being here. See you next time. But he worked with Gibson.
He worked with the Gap.
The Gap.